Well, here it is. I ended up getting a GT-R. Now, not only is it a GT-R, it's the Nismo edition GT-R. So this is 2017 Nismo. Honestly, I can't wait to just show anything and everything about this car. But we got to start somewhere, and I thought I'd do a proper introduction into this car because I'm beyond excited. This is a vehicle that I never thought I was going to get to own for a few different reasons. First, just, the ridiculous price on them, especially when they're brand new. And second of all, I mean, in the United States, I think even at the time when I was looking at, there was only 4 listed for sale in total. So I'm actually going to go back a little bit because I was looking for a car for, I guess, some time on exactly what am I going to get next. So the choice really fell down to either a GT-R or the other one that I was really looking at, any kind of Porsche 911. Of course, I would have loved to have a GT3, but especially considering how the Porsche dealerships are, I knew that wasn't a realistic thing that I could be thinking about. So then all of a sudden I see this 911 Carrera T just comes out, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place an order for this, especially considering that it comes standard with a manual transmission and with an automatic transmission. I wasn't sold on, getting something like a Porsche 911. So I contact the dealer. The dealer says, yep, MSRP is what we're charging it for. I want it base. I know it's going to work on that car. And they're like, yep, we sell them for MSRP, which is fantastic. And then right as I'm about to place an order for it to be built, I think they told me 10 months is what it would take. They come back and they say, oh no, you need this PPF as well. That's the only additional fee. Ask how much? They're like, oh, not much, just $6,000. Now, I understand for some people at $120,000 car, who cares? It's an additional $6,000, but it is $6,000. And so I asked, can you just take that off? I don't want it. And that's when the communication just goes cold. I messaged them again, trying to get more info. I say, hey, really interested in buying this. Can we go ahead and go with it? Communication non-existent. I said, screw it. I'm going to start looking for something else. And so I said, you know what? I definitely want to get a GT-R. And so I was set on it, started looking for them. But in my opinion, most of the regular GT-Rs were kind of overpriced. And so I saw this one. And this one, surprisingly, was less than 2 miles away from my house at one of the dealerships here. So I was a little skeptical, whether I was going to do it or not. I mean, of course, I was drooling all over the Nismo. But I said, I'll give it a month, see what happens. If nobody buys this car, I'm going in there to get it. As long as, majority of the stuff checked out. And so I go over to the dealership. I already researched it. I saw that it was manufacturer bought back for the transmission. But I went into my investigative route and realized the guy, he started having issues with the transmission about 7,000 miles, started really taking it in. I mean, it was just constant transmission check. And then finally, I even found the court documents where he sued Nissan, and they ended up buying the car back. The remainder of the maintenance was immaculate. I mean, differential fluid changes every 3,000 miles. I mean, even the transmission fluid changes was happening every 3,000 miles. I mean, everything and then some according to, the proposed schedule on this vehicle. And to be honest, I was actually kind of excited considering I was going to buy a vehicle that I'm not planning on selling, that it had a brand new transmission in there. So this actually has a brand spanking new transmission with about 100 miles on it so far, and it has a 1-year warranty on the transmission, which I got all those documents in when I bought the car. So I went into the dealership, like I said, I knew exactly what I was coming there to do. Saw the car finally for the first time, drove it around the dealership, and to be honest, at that point I was ready to buy. So let's go ahead and start the documents. When we started the paperwork, I actually did a proper test drive, and I mean, I was just completely blown away with the car. So after about a couple hours at the dealership, I mean, my anxiety was through the roof already. I mean, the only other time that I've ever felt like this was when I bought the C5 Corvette, which was my other dream car. And the only way that I can describe it is it feels like I'm doing something illegal that I should not be doing. But I went ahead and did it. I actually bought a GT-R, drove it home, My son and my wife were out on some kind of play date for my kid, and he comes home and he just says, no, you got the GT-R, no. And I mean, he's freaking out. He's 10 years old. So he's checking it out. He gets inside the car. He's like, I want to go for a drive every single day for 1 hour, every day. I mean, just seeing that excitement on his face as well. I mean, I knew at that point that I made the right choice. So we, of course, go for a drive. I mean, he's completely just blown away with the car. My wife, she's beyond ecstatic. I'm over here, of course, you know, living on cloud nine. And after we came back home, parked it inside the garage, and honestly just stared at the car for about an hour. I mean, at that point, it was already kind of late at night anyways. And so, I mean, I remember just thinking to myself, I said, I hope the next day when I wake up and when I open up the garage, this wasn't a dream. And it wasn't. Next day I woke up, the car was still there. I took it out and I gave it a proper cleaning. I mean, all the outside, the interior, I mean, I must have spent like 4 or 5 hours on it. So I already pretty much knew everything about the GT-R, just like most of us. I mean, I spent my time watching GT-R YouTube videos. I knew everything, how to set everything inside the car, but now I was actually experiencing it myself. I took it in for an inspection, just for that peace of mind. And so all the Carfax reports were accurate. You know, they had the logs for everything. So differential fluid had about 1,000 miles on both the front and the rear. It is a brand new transmission. It was properly installed. I know a lot of people complain of transmission slapping. This one doesn't. Drives nice and smooth. I mean, stuff you would expect, I guess, from a brand new transmission. Engine looked in superb condition. I mean, even they said whoever had this before really took care of the car. That was that. That's all I needed to know. Now, the only thing that I need to do, of course, is change out the oil. The oil is right at 3,000 miles. So I'm going to be changing that out over the next week. I already got the oil in, which was the Mobil 1 0W40 supercar. Didn't even know they built that one. And then, of course, I ordered the filters, but they're coming in next week. So I'll be changing the oil in about a week. Since I bought this car, I've put on about 100 miles, or a little bit less than that, just driving around with my family, of course. So I'll definitely be doing about a 100-mile review. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on everything, how this vehicle feels, and a bit of a spoiler, but I'm definitely not regretting it so far. I also do know that people are super interested in these vehicles just as I am. I always said, I wish somebody would just create videos so that I can see how the car is performing, or like almost if there was a video every 1,000 miles, I would have watched it. And I think I am going to keep you guys up to date pretty regularly, as well as any kind of maintenance work that I do myself. You guys are definitely going to know about it. Next up is the 100-mile review. See you guys next time.